Hello and welcome to the March update from Dean Park. Lots been going on this month around about the signal and telecommunications and the substation areas, so I'll cover all the updates there. Also I've been doing other little bits and pieces around the layout. Hope you enjoy. Cheers! Right, starting at the front of the S&T facility, we've got the entrance road, which I've done a video on how to create tarmac. The link's at the top of the screen now if you want to watch that. The paving, covered in a previous update, but it's basically Slater's paving plasticard on top of a 2.5mm card base, and the edging there, the curbstones, are made from an evergreen square section plastic strip with individual curbstones scribed into the plastic. The drains and the water drain or water main cover there, along with the fire hydrant cover painted yellow, they are Langley models etched brass. And I've got the fire hydrant and the water main, concrete, shall we say, concrete block there. They are from Scale Model Sceneries. They're actually quite nice little kits. I'll spin the camera around a bit to show you these. Obviously you could put the drains and the manholes where you like, and I've decided to put them on the pavement as opposed to the road, for ease of access. If there's a fire at the facility, they've got the little yellow drain cover there, and you can see the hydrant symbol on the yellow. They don't come painted yellow. I've painted them yellow. They come bare, kind of, just card, laser cut card, and I've just, with the right hand one, I've just sprayed it in some matte varnish to protect it. And it's actually got, if you see the little symbol there, it's actually saying water on it. So, and there's the manhole cover there on the pavement. So that's the entrance, walkways and the road. The sign I made myself using the 1.5mm brass rod there, and then I've used a 1mm piece of plastic card, and I've mounted my own printed signage on it and just used spray mount to attach them to the plastic. So ScotRail Signal and Telecommunications Training Centre. The fencing is Will's kit, as I've said in other clips. That's just to give a boundary, and you'll notice that the gate here is open on the walkway. That is not fixed. I can shut it if I wanted to, have a scene where the facility was closed, and the same goes for the access gates on the road there. The gate on this side is permanently closed. I've added some static grasses, as I've done with the other ones, a couple of blends of early and late fall, and all the bushes and underbrush are woodland scenics. Looking at the test track on the Signals Telecommunications yard, this is really the focal point of the whole diorama, if you like. It's a left-hand small radius Pico turnout laid on woodland scenics ballast, an extra little bit of track added to this end as well to give it a bit of length, and I've weathered it down just on the rails with the rust colour, and I've not polished the top of the rails. I've left them all covered in rust, as it would be in the real world. It wouldn't have, clean rail tops, if you like. The floodlights are from Express Models, and I've painted them with Humble 64 to match the other lampposts on scene. The dummy point motors are Pico, and I've got the Wills kit there for the relay boxes, and the interior that I've showed you in a previous update is in there, and that's been glued to the base, but the box hasn't at this stage, just so I can remove it if I need to. That worker there is from PD Marsh. Yeah, you get a pack of 4 trackside workers, and I think they're made from white metal. And the other 2 chaps on scene are Backman figures. We've got a drain with drain cover there, and they're scale model scenery. Excellent little kits, them. You get quite a few in a packet, and they're, I've got quite a few at line side and stuff like that. And they're nice to set into the scene, then you ballast. So you set them in first so they sink into the, they look like they're placed into the ballast, not just sitting on top of. And you'll see my scratch built speed sign there, showing the workers, the line speed restriction. You've got the CR Signals 2-aspect low ground signal there, and it's got a toggle switch at the side which I can adjust the state of it. The switch will be put in a kind of small control panel, if you like, when I get all that done and tied together. I've got line side phone here as well, which is in place. Now you'll see this is all quite a condensed scene, which is the case with these. You're trying to almost put real life, but you're condensing it into a very small area. So you've got all the AWS ramps, you've got all the equipment really quite bunched together, and it looks quite a busy little scene actually. And what I've done here is I've got some very thin wire, enamelled, painted wire. I primed it because it was red. I primed and painted it in black, and I just snipped it and just put a wee bit in place on the ballast, held down with a little bit of super glue. I'll show you that closer. It's quite fine. It's going from basically the point motor underneath the track through the orange ducting, and there's a bit going to the signal there as well. And I've also put in bits coming from the end of the T-piece, if you like, the cable trunking into the relay boxes, so it's all connected. This little line side working trolley, if you like, is it's a Cooper Craft item. I've gone over them in a previous video. That's just going to sit there. It's kind of workman's scenario. I've weathered it down. It's a BR yellow, a departmental yellow, so I've weathered it down. I've got some gas cylinders there, I've just been taken out of the store, and I've got the cable drum stuck at the side there. A lot of people put the cable drums on the side, lying on their side like that, but I've heard in real life that's a nightmare to try and get upright again, so they tend to roll them from place to place. So that's why I've left it like that. Moving around the scene, I've got the grip bin there. That's just a Backman Scene Craft one I had lying around from putting other ones on the layout of the station. It's late summer here, but sometimes the grip boxes don't get lifted from January to January, so they just kind of sit there all the time and get used when they need to. The buildings I've gone over previously are scale scenes, prefabricated glass buildings, and I've kind of modified them. The one at the right hand side there is scratch built, just using their materials, and that's kind of modified version of the one that they have for instructions. There's various colours of doors and configurations. There's so many configurations you can make. It's quite a handy kit actually. I've bought it some time ago. I never really used it. I thought, well, I've downloaded it, I may as well make some use of it, and it happened to fit in really nicely with the theme of this yard being set in the 80s. These buildings would have gone up in the 60s and the 70s, so it kind of ties in with the period. And you'll notice also I've got the white lines there on the car park, and they're scale model scenery templates for your applying the paint, and they're just done with an acrylic white dabbed over the template, and the template's moved and then it leaves the white lines. And to achieve the kind of newly shaped or laid bits of tarmac for obviously repairing potholes or getting under to do drainage work or whatever, like something like that, I've just masked off a bit of the road and dabbed it with a darker grey, almost black mix of paint using the road system from Woodland Scenics. So there we go. That's the Signals Telecommunications training facility. It's taken me upward of 4 months from the planning phase to the completion. There's a lot of detail in here. There's a lot of thought going into it. I hope you appreciate that, and it's come across in the result. All the lights are wired up in the left hand building. The main building is lit as well, and I'll show you a night shot at some point so you can see what it looks like. My first shout out this month is to David Jones at Cottesmore Junction, and David's the one who's been producing the YouTube network maps which you saw at the beginning of my video. So if you want to check out David's Cottesmore Junction, the link's at the top of the screen. This is the night scene. I've got the 4 LED lampposts lighting up the car park and paved areas. I think they give this just the right level of light. I've got the 2 spotlights or floodlights overlooking the track facility. Again, they give enough light for workers to work safely in twilight hours or in the winter. We've got the interior light for the main building there, which is a micro LED, which is more of a yellow colour, just like interior lighting would have been in the 80s. Taking a look at this area, this is all a bit done scenically. Obviously the back scene's to be fitted to the backboard there, that'll be coming out shortly. If we start at the front of the shot here, I've got my communications cabinet with a small kind of substation box, and it's been fenced off using the Wills kit, palisade security fencing. I've got the cable trunking in there, that's 10 commandments, and I've got the Pico point motors there, the dummy point motors. These here are the point heaters. They're Nightwings kits or white metal. You just have to file them, and I've just primed them in the Umbro grey primer. And then I've used my static grass, a mixture of 6.5 early fall and late fall from miniature to give it that kind of, you know, transition effect between summer and autumn. The scenic material is the usual Woodland Scenics. What I've got here is got fine leaf foliage, which is, well, you could use for trees actually. It does come, that's actually one of the parts out of the pack, and sometimes you're lucky enough to get a tree shape you can just plonk straight in the layout. Others you just rip up and stick down. You might not be able to see that very well because it's quite dark against the dark background. I've got them also along the back here. This will hide the transition between the back scene and the layout. And I've got a mixture of underbrush and bushes in olive green and light green, again from Woodland Scenics. We move the camera along a little bit so we get closer into the scenic material. The trees are made by me using Gagemaster seafoam kits, such as this one here and the one at the far end there, and they've just been drilled. They've not been glued in just now, obviously, because I've got to remove the back scene. Don't want to snap the trees. And on here I've got some kind of purple and white flowering scatter. That's from green scene. At the very end there, if I move the camera along again, I've got a beech tree in the caravan park area, and that's from Model Tree Shop. It just gives a nice transition between the caravan area and the more wild, overgrown, unkept part of the side of the railway. Moving back into this position, you might be able to see some speed signs. I've got them for going down the slope as well as coming up. It's 15 on the way down round that bend, and similarly on the way up. I've also re-scenic this area here. This was quite overgrown and I was never really happy with it up to around the signal around the corner there. So what I did was I just stripped it back with a chisel, a thin chisel, layered it with the fine earth turf from Woodland Scenics, some ballast and then some coarse turf, sealed that down, and then applied the same static grass as I've applied at the Signal and Telecommunications area and the wild area. So it just blends in a bit nicer. I've put in some 10mm, longer dead grass in there as well, just to kind of give it the transition. It's overgrown and it's dying back in the autumn. Right, I've come around this side of the layout to give you a clearer look at the substation area. Again, I've used the Wills fencing on top of round the edges of my concrete base. I've also got the gantry that you've seen before in previous videos. I've tied them in now with the scenic area overgrown and wild. There's a set of gates there, obviously for access to get in to do repairs and upgrade equipment. And you've got the kind of worn down cess here at the side of the rails before it hits the 6.5mm static grasses. And what I've done to layer it up to make it look more patchy and thicker in areas is what I do is I lay the first base at 6.5, I let it sit for a while, and then I lightly hoover it up before using some layering adhesive from WWS. You get it in the aerosol or the pump action water based. I prefer the pump action because I don't like aerosols because they tend to go everywhere. And then I just static the area that I want to add more to, so you get more of an overgrown patchy and then a slightly lower patchy there. Just using the same grasses or different grasses, and it's nice to just play around and get the effect you're looking for. At the side of the substation box there, I've got the overgrown bushes and weeds encroaching onto the building and around the fencing, just to tie it all in to look like it's been there for a while, whilst it's maintained. Obviously outside the fencing is left to grow at its own will. This view here of the back of the Signal and Telecommunications Centre, where it meets the substation area, you'll see that I've got the fencing going down the back of the substation to kind of seal off the Signal and Telecommunications Centre. And again, the weeds and the grasses and the coarse turfs follow the line of the fence round the curve and overspill into the Signal and Telecommunications kind of yard at the back where there's bits and pieces lying. You might be able to see there the pallets. I've got a pile of old sleepers, and in between the two kind of piles of sleepers you might be able to see an old LNER styled 20mph speed sign that's been left lying and it's rusted down. There is also some coils, rusted coils there as well, just thrown in the back, maybe from the electrification of the main line which will be taking place. You will see a kind of grey brassy stem to the left of the screen there. That's where the mast will be going in shortly. Again, once I've got the back scene in place. I deliberately allowed the grasses to kind of encroach on the Signal and Telecommunications yard at the back there because it's not often used, and the gravel stops, and obviously there's some earth and muck before the grasses encroach. And this is a quick end view of the whole kind of area, how it all ties in and linked together. Obviously there's still bits and pieces to tidy up, but in essence that's the completed scene. My next shout out is to West Blythe TMD. It's set in the northeast of England. It's a traction maintenance depot layout which I'm very interested in anyway, so I kind of came across this, and he's got some good scratch building going on and some really intricate wee bits of detail that he puts into his buildings. So if you want to check that out, the link's at the top of the screen. One of the jobs I've been doing this month is upgrading some of the signage and speed signs around about the station side of the layout. The ScotRail Welcome to Dean Park sign you've got here is loosely based on a Edinburgh Waverley one from the same period in the late 80s, and I've adapted it obviously to suit my layout. There was a sign there previously, but it was just a self-adhesive sticky back vinyl Welcome to Dean Park, so I've kind of ScotRailed it, if you like, to make it a bit more personalised and tie in nicely with the layout. To the right of the sign you'll see a double speed sign, 40 for the main line ahead and 25 arrow to the left that goes underneath the upper tracks onto the incline. I've been studying these kind of speed signs, and there was a kind of mix between the more modern one that you see here and the traditional LNER kind of metal cast ones that were painted yellow, so I've kind of used a wee bit of license to kind of show the transition between the old and the more modern ones. These are scratch built by me with the discs fixed to a 1.5mm brass pole, sprayed with Humbro acrylic primer, and the signs themselves are cut out from a sheet that I got from Ten Commandments with their speed sign kits. Now you can buy speed sign kits from Ten Commandments, they're great kits, but you only get 2 or 3 speed signs, actual white metal castings per pack, and obviously you want a lot. It's quite an expensive way of doing, so I've made my own ones. They're very simple to do as long as you get the round disc, and I think they're quite effective. Cutting out the circles with the red border is a pain, but if you take your time with a small pair of, I use small nail scissors for cutting your toenails, so that tends to get me the most accurate cut. A very quick shot from this end of the station. In the distance you might just be able to see the left hand track there, a 50 speed sign. They are sitting alongside the more traditional ones, as I said in my previous clip, and in front of you, right at the end of the platform there, you've got a do not trespass, and it says fine, penalty or whatever, £250 or £500 or whatever it is. These are from Sankey Scenics, I think it was, so I cut them out and I made the actual pole and the wee bit of plastic card to fit onto it, just like I do with my speed signs, and that's quite an effective little period piece to say, look, these are the signs that are more common around about the 80s and 90s, the little red do not trespass signs. My last shout out this month is to the Worley Model Railway Club. This obviously is associated to the Worley exhibition and NEC every November. That is the biggest exhibition in the country and well worth a visit. I'm intending to try and visit myself this year, having never been before, but it's one that's on my bucket list, if you like, regarding exhibitions. So I recommend you check that channel out. It's a new channel, but obviously linked very closely to the exhibition itself. There might be more developments regarding the Worley Model Railway Club and Dean Park in the coming months, so if you want to keep an eye on my videos or keep an eye on my Facebook posts, I'll maybe be able to fill you in with some more details as the year progresses. Well, that's really it for the March update. I hope you've got something from it and enjoyed the running shots. If you have any questions or comments, please do get in touch. Cheers! I hope you've enjoyed that video. If you have, why not check out one of my earlier videos? Or if you'd like something from the Network South East region, click on Richard from Everard Junction. The links are on the screen.